Well, folks, it's time to kick it old school. Yeah.
Rodg.
Herb.
Rodg.
Herb. Okay.
Viewership is probably going down right now as we speak.
Yeah.
I already got a couple of what's up, Carol. Thank you.
Carol,
Hope you had a
thank you
great
for joining
Christmas
us.
as well.
Happy holidays. We appreciate you as always.
And half of the Alpha Pools. Lady Alpha, what's up? Roll Tide.
Lady Alpha,
Roll
thank
Tide
you for
always,
joining us.
even though it's the Birmingham Stallions hat tonight.
Oh my
God. I had to support somebody who's winning something. So there you go. What's up, Big Mike, the man?
Hey, Mike.
The myth,
Appreciate you,
the
Mike.
legend. Mike has a present coming to him on Thursday. He's got one present already. He's got another one coming on Thursday. So Mike, be on the lookout. All right, Raj. Fun show planned for tonight. Not as fun as we were hoping it was going to be, but that is not the fault of anyone involved.
Yeah, that's true.
So one of our guests going to be a little bit late. He already mentioned it to us early. So we're going to bring on the most important guest first.
Yes, of course.
But this man set the record for most Irish car bombs drunk in one game with 17. 17 Irish car. Yeah, it was unfortunately during the Northern Illinois game, so he probably doesn't even remember doing it. But
if you have 17 of those, what do you think your blood alcohol level is?
Well, he's Irish, so it's probably still like really low.
Like 0.03,
yeah. You know, he probably drove home. He was good. So, if Notre Dame wins the whole thing, his playoff bonus is actually bigger than Coach Freeman's.
Oh, wow. So
you want to buddy up to him.
I will. If Notre Dame wins the whole thing, I'm giving him my cash. I'm like, dude, I need 500 right there. You got it.
Yep. And this one, Raj, this one was hard to believe. I had to double check my sources. He's the first person to actually catch a leprechaun. I thought that was interesting.
That was so stupid, Herb.
What's up, Mike? Oh, the 5 foot nothing pod.
Mike, where was this leprechaun when you caught it? How did you even catch a leprechaun?
I think what he's saying is I caught myself. I think
What's up, Mike? You doing all right tonight?
Yes, I am.
Oh, and Lady Alpha says 17 is nothing.
I don't know how things get paid out in the podcasting world or Twitter world, but for every Northern Illinois mention, I feel like they're millionaires. Like that one game is gonna live on forever.
It is. Well, we're Alabama fans, so we know how one
I was about to say you only have
out forever. So
you only have one game. We've got several, including that we just can't get over. You just have that one Northern Illinois game for this team. We've got.
What? Hold on.
I did mention it though because I am going to ask you about it. Do you feel a little? Because I've seen you've kind of fought people off all year with it. Do you feel like though the playoff run has kind of erased that? Or do you have to beat Georgia to finally get past that?
I think we got to beat Georgia because, as much as I tweet out, tell me if you've heard this before, Notre Dame plays ranked team. Everyone says Notre Dame's not going to beat ranked team. Notre Dame beats ranked team, and the ranked team was never good anyway.
Right. We know that one.
I don't think Indiana was that good. I don't think beating Indiana, despite it being in the playoffs, really move the needle in terms of Notre Dame's different. That's got to be Georgia. But where I thought you were going to ask, which is something I've been saying, and partly because of what I hear Marcus Freeman saying, is that Northern Illinois loss is the reason we're in the playoffs. It sounds wild to say, but he mentioned it in on-field post-game interviews. He mentioned it in press conferences. The first thing he said after beating USC was it's been 84 days. 84 days since we lost to Northern Illinois. Right. That team and Marcus Freeman has not forgotten that loss. Yeah. And I think that was their come to touchdown Jesus moment of, hey, let's not F around and find out again.
Yeah.
We're better than this. and we're not going to mess around. And the winning games by 30 plus points on average to close out the season says as much, right?
Right.
But we still got to beat Georgia. All that sounds great. It's motivating. It's this, that, and the other. But if that Georgia game is not a win, it really calls into question, are we different? Now, if it's close and it goes to, say, I don't know, like 8 overtimes against Georgia Tech, maybe it's a little bit different because we took them to 8 overtimes. I don't know. But because they seem to poo-poo that game. We'll wait till Randy gets on, but so many people want to deflect. Well, it's a rivalry game. It's this, it's that. That's true, but no. For Notre Dame's side, yes, they have to win the game tomorrow night. Have to.
I feel that.
I agree, and I feel like a lot of people in part of the SEC country or down here in the South kind of feel the same way about this game. For the long time, people, including myself, I'll admit, Mike, we have this certain perception of Notre Dame. The Notre Dame is a certain team, and you've heard all the criticism and all the whatever you call it on social media. So if you guys can get this win tomorrow, I think that will be huge for the not just this season, but huge for the program in general. Especially what's happened with the playoffs in Notre Dame in recent years. But I think that would be a huge, huge, huge win tomorrow night if y'all can pull that off.
Yeah, because the narrative is the narrative because of the last 35, whatever. I'm trying to think how many years it's been now. It's been a long time. And until you change the narrative, that's what the narrative is going to be, regardless of whether this year's team is better than 2012 or 2018 or 2020. Yeah. We're not going against 2018 Clemson or 2020 Alabama or 2012 Alabama. Regardless of all those factors, the reality is Notre Dame has not won a national championship since 1988. That is fact. You can't argue it. You can't discount it. You can't rebut it. And it's going to be the story until Notre Dame changes the story.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because going forward, like, people will look back at this year, and 2024 was the first year of the 12-team playoff, but nobody's going to really remember. As time goes on, nobody's going to remember the 12 teams that were in there. They're only going to remember the national champion. That's usually what it comes down to. So yeah, that's a very good point. Very good point.
Yep. Yeah, and I will happily trade the successes you all have had for I don't know how many years until this year. Notre Dame has had in the same time frame. I realized losing to Vandy, losing to OU. Then today is not how you drew up the 2024 season, but you always
whoever drew it up, we need to smack them. Like, I need to find whoever drew this up, and we need to have words.
But you see the question all the time is like, hey, would you trade? Would you take a national championship, but next year you're gonna go 5-7 to miss a bowl game? Yeah, and it's like a lot of people would say, yes, sign me up.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Michigan almost did it. I mean, I'm not trying to bring today's game into it, but Michigan almost pulled it off.
Oh no, that's where they were headed for a while. Yeah. But I told people, like, who were wanting to talk about it, and whatever you say, your point is exactly on. There is a lot of teams that would trade. Hey, let me get this championship. I mean, it's a different sport, but that's what the Marlins did twice. Won a World Series, tore down their whole team. Won a World Series, tore down their whole team. Yep. The Rams sacrificed every draft pick imaginable to get that one Super Bowl. Like, that one victory is something that nobody can take from you, and that's a lot of teams would take that. So yeah, now it depends on your fans in this day and age, because if you win the whole thing and then you go 5-7 the next year, they're all like, "Oh my God, why are we still not great?" Well, maybe we sacrificed a lot to get that one, Right. But I think as an organization, you can get a lot of mileage out of one championship.
You can, and the funny thing about Michigan that I found interesting, because Michigan isn't just a run-of-the-mill college football program that had one good year. They're Michigan.
Right.
And for them to go from national championship to falling off, and I realized Harbaugh left, and they did have a lot of guys stay for that goal to win, and then moved on from the program to the pros or graduated, whatever the story might be. But you hear Michigan fans go, well, we're in a rebuild. And I kind of look at it sideways, like, a rebuild? Like, you're Michigan. You're not Cincinnati in 21 making the playoff. You're Michigan. You should be recruiting dudes to replace the dudes that are leaving.
Yeah.
Like Alabama
and transfer portal. That's the thing. That's what's really equalized what people have thought, as far as timelines, that's what has really changed it. So, unless you got a Michigan fan in there, so all I can say is congrats, man. The effort that y'all showed,
James, congrats
in those last two games, that's just amazing. Probably every reason, especially in the bowl game, to phone in. I know you're never going to phone it in against Ohio State, but the talent level was clearly not in your favor. But you outfought them.
If you look at how Michigan started off the season and then look at how they finished the season, I mean,
and then we got
kudos to them. That's huge for the program. And then we also know that they got Bryce Underwood coming in, and obviously they got Justice Haynes coming in as well. So the future is pretty bright for Michigan's program. And again, James, thank you for joining us. Kudos for you guys. We were outplayed, out everything. I don't want to go into it too much right now.
So Raj, you haven't. I mean, it's kind of a transition, and you haven't given your thoughts. Like I did get to. I talked a little bit about it earlier. Mike skipped the game. Good for him.
Hey, I was busy having the weirdest run of holes in golf you could have. It was sunny in South Texas, so I took advantage of it. I did play with the Georgia guys, but yeah, I didn't see the game, so you guys can talk about it. I can't apply any.
Cheers to you, James. Appreciate you.
Cheers, man. Yeah.
And Roll Tide, I don't know if you saw, but Title
Towels. Shout out to Whit.
Appreciate you, man.
Title Towel. We appreciate you, bro.
So, Raj, go ahead and give us some thoughts from today. No colorful language.
I know. Frustrating, just frustrating to watch from a Bama fan standpoint. I felt like coming into this game with all of the opt-outs that Michigan had, even the point spread saw it, and the point spread went up like a point and a half after all their opt-outs came in. I was like, okay, we got all our players opting in. Nobody's really sitting out, as opposed to Malachi Moore because he just had the surgery. So we're good to go here. Milroe starting, we shouldn't have too many problems, but unfortunately, this game started off and felt exactly like the OU game. And Herb and I even talked about this. I don't know if we texted or we called or whatever, but I was like, man, this feels just like the OU game. Turnovers. There was a span right there where we had 3 turnovers within 4 possessions, interceptions, fumbles. And Milroe just looked like
their first 16 points came on 43 yards.
Yep.
43 yards. Yeah, and if they were more aggressive, it would have been worse.
Yeah, the first half, Michigan's offense wasn't really doing much but running the ball. They weren't passing the ball because I don't think they were confident in their QB yet. They ran the ball a lot, but honestly, I got to give kudos to their defense. Their defensive line just bullied us. And I can actually go ahead and say that they did the same thing in the Rose Bowl last year. Their defensive line just got over on us. They pressured Milroe, had a few sacks, made him very, very uncomfortable in the pocket. At the end of the day, though, I mean, we could blame coaching. We can play whatever we want, but at Milroe, I think it's a combination of coaching and Milroe at the same time. He made a couple of really, really horrible mistakes. We had a lot of receivers open throughout the game, just didn't get touched on the ball. Our running back didn't get enough touches on the ball. I understand they got a good run defense.
Tried to fight Milroe.
And that's good. And you know what? You want to see that out of your players. You want some of your players to go up to your captain sometimes like, dude, look, I'm open. You just got to throw me the ball. I don't know what other routes you want me to run. I'm running the routes. I'm getting open, but you're not throwing me the ball. Milroe needs to hear that. Your quarterback needs to hear that sometimes, regardless of who he is. So we just got outplayed. Unfortunately, it is what it is. I was hoping that we can end DeBoer's first season under 10 wins, but we ended up 9-4. Not bad, but not where we wanted it to be. But then again, I'm a Bama fan, so our expectations are ridiculously crazy at times. So It is what it is.
Yep. And there's a couple in there. First off, what's up, Nick? Talked to him a couple of times on Twitter earlier today. Thanks.
Appreciate you for joining us, Nick.
Yeah, Carol. Unfortunately for us, it's like the first quarter tells the tale of our whole game. It just never seems to change. If it's a bad first quarter, we're bad. And like Raj said, that's what we were at the Oklahoma game, and that's what we had to sit through. And so it's just
that was torture. Absolutely.
Yeah, he really doesn't. If he's not running to start, it's just bad. But like Raj just said, people are getting open. And he's just not seeing them. And the Oklahoma fans said the same thing.
That's been the knock on Milroe, throughout the season, just not reading the field well, not reading the defense at all, just running the play that's given to him and not making the necessary adjustments at the point of the hike. But he just hasn't done that. So, I guess the question, I don't know if we'll talk about this now or later, but what does he do now? Does he, is he coming back? Is he leaving? Whatever the case may be. We'll get into that
We don't. Yeah,
like
we'll approach that. Yeah, with maybe a short or something on that for sure.
Yeah.
And so my wonder is, do you think they would, if they had gone to the simpler system early on, does Michigan win more games? Such as like, do you compete with Texas? So that's something I would like for you to answer. Yeah, I don't know. Like I know that the line wasn't great today, and he took some sack, but there are sometimes he had chances back there. He doesn't see blitzes or anything.
He doesn't.
I agree.
He had plenty of time to make the right pass or just run. And sometimes I'm like, if nobody's open, dude, use your legs, run, get a couple of yards. That's fine. But don't run backwards and then take a sack. That just makes everything look much more worse.
Yeah. So, and Nick, I agree with you on this one.
To Nick's point, and this is something that I talked to Herb about. I know that DeBoer and the coordinators the offensive coordinator are going to receive a lot of criticism. I want to see DeBoer with 1 year with his chosen quarterback, not somebody who he kind of felt loyal to starting because Milroe was the captain and the leader of last year. Right. But I want DeBoer to select his quarterback, let them go a full year, and then let's see how the season plays out, which I think will happen next year in 2025. Yep.
Mike, if you have any comments on the game, feel free, and we're going to move.
All I was going to say is. Again, you could have said this pregame, mid-game, post-game. You're Alabama. You're going to get most people's best shot. And when you line up a team, despite the record, because even though I just talked about how, it's Michigan, like, how do you go from national champion to this? And the comment, about how the defense was set up beginning of the year to now. But at the end of the day, Michigan still has players. And that's the thing. And we'll get there about Notre Dame, Georgia. When you look at like Notre Dame versus Indiana, if you're Indiana, you're going into that game going, yeah, we've done this, and this. But that's Notre Dame, and look at their roster. So we knew we would get Indiana's best shot. But being Alabama, being lined up against a team with Michigan's recruiting background and talent, it wasn't going to be a walk in the park despite the record.
Yeah, and that's what we were always the ones that never kind of assumed that. And to Rodg's point, I think Milroe is the antithesis of what DeBoer actually wants in a quarterback and to run his system too.
I mean, think about who he had last year in Michael Penix.
Right.
Now you're coming to Jalen Milroe. These are two completely different quarterbacks. Michael Penix was 100% strictly a pocket passing, accurate quarterback. Milroe is 100% a running quarterback. He's just two different quarterbacks. So that's why I'm saying going to 2025, he's going to pick somebody who's a little more of a pocket passer, go with him. And I think, I'm really excited about the 2025 season. Now, of course, we'll get into that at some other time. But he did what he could with Milroe, and unfortunately, things didn't really pan out the way we wanted to.
Yeah, I'll say this though: Saban didn't beat Michigan either, though. So, but you're also saying the greatest coach of all time versus the guy replacing him. So it was always going to be a drop off in that area. So
we don't want Milroe to Notre Dame, is what you're telling me.
I just know that it's a tough thing. When we lose, let me say it this way: when we lose games is when people force our quarterback to be a thrower. So,
100%. And that's what gives me hope going into the Sugar Bowl is I watched all of that game, all the roller coaster. I watched in person the roller coaster of emotions because I was in Biloxi, Mississippi, which is in the heart of SEC country, and I was watching people. Georgia side, Alabama side, the roller coaster emotions in the Alabama-Georgia game. Yeah. But the one thing I look back at is like Milroe was moving pretty freely.
Yes.
So we don't have a Jalen Milroe athlete type quarterback, but we do have a mobile, can move the sticks quarterback in Riley Leonard, and he's the second leading rusher for a reason.
Yeah.
And what Milroe did, I think, to a degree can be duplicated on top of having a offensive coordinator that gets it. Where James just made the comment that Saban knew what to do with his talent. And for the first time in a long time, Notre Dame's offensive coordinator finally knows what to do with their talent. They're not – because Mike Denbrock is here to coach college kids. He's not trying to – and I don't know that I can't – don't hold me to this, but he's not coaching with the idea of like, hey, I'm going to get a look at the NFL. He's here to coach college kids. Tommy Rees was trying to create an NFL resume. So he's trying to run these NFL style plays and offenses that so often I'm just banging my head against this desk going like, you don't have the players to run that. What are we doing? Like, why? And then last year was a crapshoot because we didn't have the OC we thought we were going to get, and we had to go with Gerard Parker, and that was a disaster. But yes, having a coach, whether it be the head coach, OC, DC, that understands what your players can and can't do at the college level is monumental to success.
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree. And Nick is kind of
1,000%.
alluding to that with him throwing. My only pushback on this is that teams are loading up the box and taking away his legs. That's what Oklahoma did.
Exactly.
That's what Michigan did.
Exactly.
So I feel like the coaching staff is kind of in a bind. You know, we can stubbornly keep trying to run him, but it's not working.
Right.
And it's not that the passing game is not working. People are getting open. It's just you're not getting it to them. But again,
exactly.
Kind of. So I guess that's just my only pushback on that. But you're right about not being his strength for sure.
And we saw that frustration in today's game when you saw Ryan Williams and you mentioned Jeremy Barr. You saw the offensive players were just frustrated. We're like, dude, what else do you want us to do? I mean, just get us the ball and we'll help you out. But it just didn't transpire.
Yep. Mike, I think these are for you.
Yeah. Go to the next one. Go to the next one. I want to. What is this?
I got to hear this
crazy
story.
Bama lady. What is this?
Oh,
yeah.
There was a lady sitting next to us with her husband, and I don't know. We made friends with them, but they were unique, to say the least.
Can you elaborate a little bit, or was it
just? I just like we're part of your group now. It's like by the end of the Saturday of watching college football from sun up to sundown, yeah, they made their way to just being part of our group, our table, and
okay.
I wouldn't say they were invited; they weren't uninvited. Just yeah, they were different, and
gotcha.
The roller coaster of emotions sitting close by them was enjoyable just from the outside looking in.
Yeah.
And the whole room we were in, which I can't recall a room, a sports book, but is in the middle of a casino. You felt the floor shaking, you know, from once Georgia fought back, being down 28-0.
Yeah. You
felt like every play, like you literally felt like you're in a stadium. The things were moving, shaking.
Yep.
It was loud. Oh, it was intense. But yes, the Bama lady was very friendly.
I like it.
Shout out to the Bama lady, whoever you are.
Shout out, yes. We got to get you on someday, whoever you are. So, and this is the last one on the last game. Yeah, and I didn't see it, I guess, because maybe I looked away, but I heard about Bernard for sure getting in his face, and I think Rodg talked about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's frustrating. You know how wide receivers are. You're already frustrated. You rely on somebody else to get you the ball, and if it don't happen, you know. Let's just say I understand. It reminded me, except for the getting in the face, but the body language of Ridley when Jalen Hurts was first here. So unfortunately, we have seen that before, and it was really frustrating to watch. So, all right, halftime Fiesta Bowl. Penn State up 17-7. They kick a field goal to go into the half, and they get the ball to start the second half. So, Mike, I know that Rodg and I both picked Penn State outright in this one.
Yeah.
You think Boise's going to keep this one close?
I do. I did the whole bracket thing, which that needs to become more of a thing going forward, by the way.
Yeah.
I created a couple, got some people in it, but I did pick Penn State to win, you know, for that purpose. But as far as I did actually put a bet in for Boise to cover. Now it's part of a parlay that I need to make happen, but so far I got the first leg is done. LSU got this one, and then Notre Dame's 3. And
Okay.
I'll say this: even when I used to partake in that particular form of entertainment, I could never put my own team in it because my heart is already racing enough.
And here's the thing: the point spread made it's effectively a pick 'em.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, my emotions there already. So, like, for example, I did bet Notre Dame to beat Indiana. I just bet the money line because I didn't need the additional 7 points being a factor in my enjoyment of the game. But the spread in this one, number one, Notre Dame's the underdog. But so I took the points. But hey, make it fun, dude. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, but our Bama games are fun enough without. I mean, the roller coaster that we're on.
And here's the thing: I got into
Nick is echoing what I'm saying here.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. Yeah.
If I showed you how much laundry I had from this past game from changing clothes, trying to affect the outcome of this game,
and I totally get that, but I do talk enough crap that hey, put your money where your mouth is, and
I get that.
Why not? But like I said, mixing it into a parlay feels less because if another part of the parlay fails,
then you're okay.
You're all right. Yeah.
Okay. I get that. I get that.
And speaking of Casey and the Bama lady, and if I didn't hit a huge parlay in Biloxi, I wouldn't be chasing that dream again. But here we are. I hit a huge parlay when we were in Biloxi, and I'm like, I can't wait for the next one. I'm still waiting. By the way, that was end of September, so 3 months later, still waiting.
I like it. Rodg, any surprises from you at the Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. For the Fiesta Bowl, I honestly haven't tuned into the entire game. But prior to the game, I said that I feel like Boise State's kind of like a one-trick pony with Ashton Jeanty. So I feel like if Penn State kind of contained him, then they would be all right. He's only got 39 yards at half off
13 rushes for 39 yards.
13 carries, 39 yards. Yeah. So they're doing a good job at that. It's 17-7, not bad. The game's obviously not out of reach for Boise State, but it's kind of going in Penn State's favor, which I picked. So I think Penn State pulls it out still.
Yep. All right, Mike, here's a question specifically for you.
Yes, specifically for Mike.
There you go. Notre Dame guy. No name, Mike.
Michigan as a rival, or agree with them and say, no, me and most Michigan fans say don't play you anymore.
I'm just giving you a hard time, James. This is Mike, though.
Yeah, Mike, do you see Michigan does Notre Dame see Michigan as a rival?
Absolutely. I mean, it goes back so far. And I don't know if James knows the history as to like Notre Dame and Michigan and all that stuff, but when conferences were being formed years, and this is like going on 100 years ago, Fielding Yost made a point to blackball Notre Dame and keep them out of joining a conference with Michigan due to his anti-Catholicism views. So I don't want to go down that road, but that was the start of it. Well, then fast forward to when right before Notre Dame signed that contract with NBC in the early, the Big Ten was expanding and becoming a bigger conference. Michigan also kind of drug their feet. I say drug. There were other teams. Michigan was leading the way on dragging their feet on whether or not to allow Notre Dame into the Big Ten. Well, while that was going on, Notre Dame was doing their thing, take care of themselves, and signed a contract with NBC, and the rest is history.
Yeah,
now, I don't think is Casey a fan of you or not?
I feel like Casey and Mike know each other really, really well. They're probably like really good friends.
And by the way, he did correct me. He corrected me. I look at my phone. So I was because we hung out with those Bama people for so long, but it was different. But the Bama lady, I go back. I remember now. She was yelling at Georgia fans, not like with them or like going back and forth. She was just screaming at them, and sat at a table, which our sweet Haley, who was the best server in the world down in Biloxi, was giving us drinks to make her money. That's her job.
Right.
And then taking up a table and not buying a damn thing. So I'm not trying to offend Bama fans, but if you're going to go to a place where you are occupying a table that's supposed to earn money for a certain individual, buy a drink or two. That's
right.
Yeah.
That's just rude.
Yeah.
I'll say this, the times that I've been at a table where I wasn't buying drinks, if I just got water or whatever's going on, you're getting a tip based on how long I've been there, not based on whatever bill you hand me. So you're still getting something from me. And I'll tell them that up front. So
to go back to James, yes, Michigan is absolutely a rival. And a lot of the reason we haven't played is the two schools on their own. But then when Notre Dame
went to the same thing to Michigan State.
Yep. Yeah. When we went to this 5-game ACC kind of deal, while Notre Dame's still independent, all the other sports minus hockey are ACC members. So you had to fill in these 5 ACC games, which made filling out the rest of the schedule more difficult in terms of getting USC and Stanford and Navy and Michigan and even Purdue that we traditionally play a lot. So we had to make some changes. And between Michigan and Notre Dame not coming to an agreement, that has kind of slowed down. And I don't know if he means by not playing us anymore has to do with that or the fact that because you're independent, join a conference. I don't know if that's some of the motive.
Notre Dame said we're not a rival. Yeah. Mike says he disagrees. That's all. Real quick, I did want to say hello to somebody just came in.
Oh, Timothy. Hey, what's Timothy, up? How you doing? We appreciate you for joining us, man.
And for the dog fans, Randy was running late, so we I know we teased that he'd be here. He is going to be here. Anybody that say go dogs or put anything on there, we'll post that when Randy gets there, so he gets a warm welcome. But we're not keeping him away. He's got some stuff he's dealing with to get here. Sorry, go ahead, Mike. What?
And
if the Georgia team doesn't show up for the first half, I'm good with that too.
Oh wow.
And if you do Georgia's say go deep, dogs,
though. The second string could probably, at least on defense, still hold their own. I would think.
If you are saying go dogs and you do want to be Alabama fan, just put your email in the chat. We'll send you some. We'll email you some applications.
Wrong day for that. Wrong day for that. We would not subject any other fan base.
I'm trying to end the day on a high. I'm trying to end the year on a high note, man. Hey.
Hey, throw shade when you can throw shade. Go for it.
We would not subject anybody. Look, we're honest fans, man. I've been getting the text messages today too. Or are you good? I'm like, this team is not going to define anything that I do.
After the game, I stayed off Twitter. I have not been on Twitter since the game. I just did not want to jump into all that mess. But I'll get back on there tomorrow morning and take a look. But I don't know. It is what it is, man. The season's over. So.
All right, so the last two comments that I have to do specifically with the Fiesta Bowl. Big Mike says, this is the game Franklin will do something to mess it up. And Nick says he thought his surprise as close as it is.
Yeah.
I think this is like a typical Penn State game. Take one part of your way, take your key guy away, slowly kind of, choke the life out of you. And then if it happens to be better, but I think Penn State will be fine running the ball the entire second half and just staying just enough ahead of Boise State to win.
Well, this is the same thing, like I said, when we're talking about Alabama versus Michigan. Boise State just on paper, you just don't have the same type of players Penn State. So you should be able to run it against Boise. What I'm surprised is it seems like they're still making and I realize Ashton Genty probably should have won the Heisman, and he is their main focal point of offense and everything else. But with that much time leading into this game, you had to have known that that's what Penn State's going to make a very, very strong effort to take away. And the reality is they have the athletes to probably do it, unlike any team you faced this year. Now, I'm not saying that you can't go away from everything that's got you there, but you got to have a little bit more of a zig when you should zag kind of concept.
Right. No,
I'm just really surprised that they're really just trying to hammer Genty, and it's like, that's not going to work against Penn State. You got to have a little bit more bag than that.
But I feel like that's what they've been doing all year. So,
no, and you're right. But after Oregon, which I did my show yesterday with a Georgia guy, and we talked about this game, and I said, yes, Georgia. Yes, Boise State lost to Oregon by 3 points. But also, yes, that game was 4 months ago.
Yeah. The earlier season games are tougher to be like, Genty wasn't the Heisman guy at that game. I mean, he had a little buzz, but he wasn't like what he is coming into this game where you've got way more evidence to say, okay, look, they don't have a plan B. So plan A, B, and C is run this guy and hope for the best.
And I don't want to get into the strength of schedule conversations because that opens up a can of worms. But Boise State hasn't faced, outside of that first game in Oregon, a team with athletes like Penn State. So they have been able to do what they've done with Genty as pretty much most of their offense. You had so much time to do something to plan differently. The reason I felt like Boise would keep it close within 11.5 is that I don't think Penn State has the offense to blow somebody out despite last week's score. But much like your game, again, didn't watch it, but I've heard enough and saw some
Yeah.
stats. The reason Michigan got away from you guys so quickly had nothing to do with anything other than turnovers and field position, which is exactly what Penn State did to SMU.
Yeah. Right. No, exactly.
If you think about it, you can't ifs, ands, and buts and all that good stuff. But if that doesn't happen with Alabama, Michigan, what's the outcome of that game? Who knows, right? Same with SMU, Penn State. Does SMU win? Probably not, but it's not 38-10.
Right.
So I just think Boise needs to come out but do they have the athletes to do it? That's what we don't know, right? You can keep thinking that, oh yeah, don't go to Genty as much. Surprise Penn State with this, but is your team capable of doing that?
Which I don't think so, and I don't think we've had evidence to say that all year too.
Exactly.
We'll get into a couple of other games real quick then before we do this. Yeah. Honestly, we have two close friends that are Michigan fans, and they haven't. I'm sorry, like three. One of them was giving me a hard time during the game, but that was about it. The other two haven't really said anything. Other than that, like I don't count. It's hard to count the majority of people that you see on Twitter because there's some of those people that I don't even think are fans of those specific teams who just like to give other people crap. So as far as people that we personally know that are Michigan fans, they've been fine with us.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Yep. And I don't know if you have a story about it, but Casey, Ohio State fans are the worst. So Lady Alpha's the only Ohio State fan. I guess no, we know too. Her and Trey.
Yeah, I haven't really been around a lot of diehard Ohio State fans, so I'm not sure what their fan base is like as opposed to seeing them on TV. So I don't know.
Yep.
The ones he knows are he lives in South Carolina. He's a Clemson alum, and I guess like that part of South Carolina is a good place to retire to or go to after you've spent your time in Ohio. But he crosses paths with too many Ohio State fans. He just can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, we'll go through. Like I said, I don't know. Randy's having some issues. He just texted. So I don't know if he's going to be able to come on. Okay. Just in case he wants to jump in here at the end, we're going to go through the other couple games and we'll end on y'all's game in case he has a couple of thoughts to throw in at the end. And like I said, anybody who had Go Dogs or anything about their game, I'll throw your comment up when we actually get to that game for the breakdown. So even if Randy's not here, he'll have a couple Go Dogs in the in the thing for
loyal following. Got to respect that.
So, and like I said, we appreciate y'all tuning in. We saw Carol and Timothy already, and anybody else who tunes in, Georgia fan, apologize. Randy's had technical difficulties, but he'll still be well represented by you guys in the chat. All right, first game tomorrow morning. Then Texas, Arizona State. A 12.5 line. What?
Come on. We know who's going to win this game.
Yeah. You don't have anything for Arizona State? Scatabo came out and said
you just wanted to bring up Arizona State so you could say Scatabo. That's it. Other than that, come on. We know Texas is going to win that game.
We'll post this real quick. Yeah, we were definitely not ignoring you guys. I've got all your posts saved up, but it was just kind of something that's going on with this system. So definitely not avoiding. We love having Randy on here. I don't care if you guys saying Go Dogs. We'll post it on the screen when it's time to do that. Mike needs to start texting some of his people so he's got some backup when it's time. So, and Lady Alpha, we defended you. That's what it said. The people that we personally know as Ohio State fans are not horrible. So we consider you one of our friends. So, wow. So anybody want to argue this one 45-0?
Well, here's the thing. Arizona State feels very much like Boise State. Like, what? After Scatabo, what is their offense?
What do they do? Yeah.
And, Mountain West, Big 12, is there a difference? Is there a difference? So I'm feeling, I don't know, 45-0, but this is a game where I could very well see Texas just blowing it wide open.
I think Texas covers in this game. They're 12.5 favorite. I think they can win this game by 2 touchdowns. Yeah, easily.
I would agree with that 100%. I would say they win by 20. I really do.
I can see that.
You know, you look at yes, Texas lost to Georgia 30-15. Then they lost to Georgia again in overtime.
Yeah.
But it's not that Texas is that good. He has played bad this year. You're right. Ewers hasn't been amazing.
Yeah.
But this is more about.
Have you heard? Sorry, have you heard about the $6 million offer?
Yes.
That he's been offered. That's the rumor. People are
Quinn
offering
Ewers.
him to not go in the draft and come back and transfer to their school.
Was that Michigan State or something like that that offered him that much? But
who did the person I was talking to earlier today?
I want to say it was like
I heard somebody said Oregon.
Oh,
yeah.
Well,
I'm not paying $6 million for Ewers anywhere. That seems
Ewers has been injured every single year he's played in college, so that's a lot of money. And I think for Ewers, you're going to the draft anyway because if you come back to Texas, that's
this is the one he said. Michigan State offered $3 to $4 million.
Yeah, that's the one I was meant. That was the one I was referring.
It's interesting because some of the not Oregon, of course, but like if you're Michigan State, I just don't feel like you're a quarterback away, and I don't know that Ewers.
They need a lot of help.
Yeah, I'd rather recruit a quarterback and try and have him there 2 or 3 years versus grab Ewers for a year. So
and it's funny because Michigan State wouldn't be a quarterback away, but let's say it was Oregon.
Yeah,
they have, unless I'm wrong, I think Dante Moore is now there, and he was a huge, highly touted recruit. And Oregon would be better off spending that $6 million or $3 to $4 million elsewhere. When you've got what is projected to be Dante Moore got some run at UCLA last year before he transferred over to Oregon.
Right.
One of those situations where if you have that money in NIL funds, maybe use it more to spread it out. Don't just dump it into one guy. And especially for Michigan State, yeah, absolutely, Herb. That's not going to fix your problem.
Yeah, that's why that's weird for you to do that. So, but look, it looks like. Possibly.
Oh,
maybe.
That shiny bald head and the Christmas tree lights in the background. That is the one, the only Randy Randolph Powers. No, I don't know his middle name. I was just
I think he just goes by Superstar. How are you doing, Randy? Are we good?
Yeah, we're good. I mean, it's Christmas and New Year's and gremlins are running loose. What can I say? It just that's the way it is. But we're good. Happy New Year to everybody. I am full of the finest meats and cheeses this side of the Atlantic Ocean. The charcuterie board's in there. The girls are having a good time.
Yeah.
So we're doing good. It's good.
I thought he was going to mention some libations.
No, that's
something that Rodg and I got to partake of.
I already partaked in a few of those. Yes, and to that point, thank you, Randy, again for the gift. Partook in those a little bit tonight. So
Mike didn't send us anything.
So. See, I was waiting.
Mike didn't.
I was waiting until we finished here before I get into any of that stuff because although my time with you fellas tonight might be ephemeral, I just want you to know that you're going to get my very best shot. You're going to get everything I got.
No, fine. But we were just killing time, honestly, just to get to this game first. We've heard a little bit of Mike's thoughts on the game. We will welcome you in with some people that had your back before we got here.
Okay.
Yes.
Carol and Timothy have been holding it down.
Appreciate you fellas, ladies.
So,
and we talked to Carol and Timothy, and we gave them the spiel that if they ever want to convert to Alabama fans, we can email them applications, but they did not.
I shot that down. So nobody.
They are very loyal. They are very loyal. Just letting you know.
No.
Oh, I have no doubt. I'm surprised they would hear any of that. That's the kind of stuff that make them turn tail and run out of here because they are dogs through and through. There's no way around that.
Let's throw both of y'all this question to approach from both ones that Nick had posted a little bit ago. Georgia to win this game strictly because Kirby has experience in his games and Freeman doesn't. So, Randy, just getting on here, we'll let you approach it first, and then Mike, you can kind of do the rebuttal from the other side of it.
Well, I definitely feel like, obviously, if you've been there, done that, it's not going to be the same as if it's your first time on a stage like this with bright lights like this, right? I mean, we all remember Kirby made his mistakes. He made the national championship game in his second season, and when he made a mistake, it was on full display for everybody to see, right? The fake punt in the SEC championship game with Justin Fields, and there are other things. But he matured and grew, and now he doesn't do that. Now he's the guy running the fake punt. Now he's the guy smelling out the fake punt. You know what I mean? So you only get that by being in that position, and that's something that, as much as I like Freeman and think he's a good coach, he hasn't done that yet on this stage. So it doesn't mean he can't do it. Just means he hadn't had the opportunity. So I think that, along with a couple of other things, sort of tilt the intangibles toward Georgia in this game. Some of the other things is, like, we were watching media days, today and yesterday, and the dogs look loose, happy, relaxed. Now, when they go out to practice, it's all business, but they're still enjoying themselves, right? I really don't think like they feel any kind of pressure at this point. They're already champions this season. So they're rolling into a place where they feel like we've got something to take care of here because they have bigger goals. And if Gunner is feeling the pressure, he's sure not showing it. I mean, he's all shucks in his way right through these 3 days in New Orleans before the game. So they seem relaxed. They've been here before. Clearly, the schedule tested them virtually every way that you can test them this season. So we know they're battle tested. I think that all those things are just going to help Georgia along the way.
Mm-hmm. And Mike, before you answer, I have to. Are you sure this is one of your friends, Mike? This is how Randy gets welcomed in by the Notre Dame.
Casey is without a doubt one of my best friends. He's the best friend I have going right now. So everything he says comes from a good place.
This is kind of like how I talk to Herb. That's basically what it is.
Basically. Which, by the way, I put out a poll today about who would sabotage who.
I saw it.
And okay. All right. So, Mike, what do you think about it from the Freeman side of things?
Okay, so Randy. By the way, Randy, I thought your name was Adam. We got to bring that.
Oh, up. I forgot about this story.
No. It is a damn beast because that's what those Bulldogs are.
God.
That's what real monsters are. That's what real football players are. You are a damn beast, and that's how the handle came to be.
Oh my God!
He was like, we were talking before the game, and I'm like, he's like, Randy. I was like, yeah, Randy. That's the guy out there. He goes, I thought it was about that. Adam Beast.
Randy, Mike, you have just coined Randy a new nickname. So Randy's new nickname is Adam. So
Adam Beast.
Yeah. You were not the first.
Well, there you go. But Randy's not wrong in the fact that Freeman hasn't been there because he hasn't had the opportunity. I said this last time on my show, and with the way games are televised and the way college football is covered, you are literally watching Marcus Freeman learn on the job. Mm-hmm. There's from press conferences to actual football games to the behind the scenes stuff. You're watching this dude learn on the job. The one thing he has that Notre Dame hasn't had with Brian Kelly and even predating Brian Kelly was this dog to use who are playing, this motivation, this excitement, this energy. He brings that, and maybe because he's still in his 30s. I don't know. I'm 40. I don't have that same energy anymore, I don't think. But that's where I like Freeman in this stage is, sure, he slipped up against Northern Illinois and Marshall and a bad Stanford team. That's him learning on the job, okay? The Northern Illinois game, before you came on, Randy, I talked about that game was such a pivotal moment in the Notre Dame season because since that point, Notre Dame has dominated teams. Now, have they been the best competition? No. But that's what good teams should do to weaker competition. If we were scraping by and playing, 8 overtimes and winning games, the 13-12 or giving up 226 yards to UMass, and I'm not saying that's going to make a difference on tomorrow night.
I think somebody's had several Irish car bombs before the show. Kind of feeling themselves a little bit.
If we're going to do this, we're going to do this. No. But no, what I worry about Georgia is their roster is better than Notre Dame's on paper. Absolutely. Kirby Smart's been there. He's done it. I think Notre Dame finally has that motivating force in their head coach to shift it. The talent hasn't always been there, but it hasn't been that far off. I just think the previous times, 2012, 2018, 2020, you had a coach who was there for strictly business. There was no fun, like you were talking about with your Georgia boys. They're out there enjoying themselves. And you got to have that. That has to exist. You can't just go out there strictly business and head down, focus. That's what Brian Kelly did. And there was no motivating excitement level that if we had the same scenario where you're without Carson Beck, Georgia has looked questionable at spots in the season, and Notre Dame has done what they've done, but you still got Brian Kelly at the helm, I wouldn't be confident going into tomorrow at all. I'd be nervous. But I do think this game is going to be really close. And I'm not worried about Freeman because that Northern Illinois game has been such a motivating factor. They talk about it all the time. And after they beat USC to clinch the playoff spot, the first thing he said was, it's been 84 days. It's been 84 days since we lost to Northern Illinois. And this is what we were playing for. So.
Well,
Grant,
I mean,
quick, one of your other buddies just wanted to give you this before you start the rebuttal. Because I can kind of see the wheels already turning. So I just wanted to let
Jeremy, thank you
hello.
for joining all of us. We appreciate you.
yeah. Well, I mean, you touched on a couple of different things there. I mean, the fact that Notre Dame gave up almost 600 yards to a middling USC team says a little something about how they wound up the schedule here. But you mentioned Freeman and you mentioned Kelly. I will say that with Freeman being at Notre Dame, I feel like they're clawing their way back from being a stepping stone program, which is what they had become. And I don't think that's where they are now. So he's done some good work. He's got them to the stage. Now we just have to see if they can pull it off, because this Notre Dame team absolutely can beat the Georgia Bulldogs. They are primed. They are built to get it done. All I've heard since Notre Dame had their victory over Indiana was everything you just said. Plus, the Dogs have had a bad defense all season. Notre Dame wants it more for some reason because they haven't been there. The thing is, if this is the year to get it done,
Kirby says it. If
this is the year that Georgia's gettable, what's going to happen? What's going to be the excuse when it doesn't go that way?
If not now, when? I've said it, I've heard it said, and you're 100% right. If not now, when? Because you're down Carson Beck. You do have a rush offense. I wouldn't call it abominable, but it's not great. And
what now?
Georgia's rush offense. They're not horrible.
No, it hasn't been great this year. No,
they're not great. So,
and there's a lot of reasons for that.
No, for sure, absolutely. And part of which has to do with Carson Beck is a really good quarterback, and you don't need a solid run game to make him be effective. But what I was going to get at with that is, if you're not going to get Georgia now, I don't know when you can, simply because if the rush offense isn't good and it hasn't been that great, is it going to show up like that in a Sugar Bowl where you're putting Gunnar Stockton in a position he hasn't been yet as a Georgia quarterback, right? Maybe you want to help the run game out or have the run game help him out a little bit. But Al Golden is going to make Gunnar Stockton uncomfortable. I have to believe that. The pass defense has been great. Only team in the country hold opposing quarterbacks under 50% completion percentage. And the USC yardage numbers looked great. But if Gunnar Stockton throw the ball 49 times, I hope he puts up numbers, because that's what Mava did against Notre Dame. He threw the ball 49 times. If you throw 49 times against any opponent, you should put up some numbers. I think this is the time to get him. Will it happen? I don't know. I'm hopeful. I do have a strong belief that it can happen. But yes, this is the year, because nobody's dominant. Georgia has a lot of questions, unlike past years. Let's see what happens.
And to that point also, Randy, before you got here, he did mention not a failure on the season, but if Notre Dame doesn't beat Georgia, like, you haven't raced Northern Illinois and you haven't raced, for this season. So the motivation factor for Notre Dame is still high going into this one.
Well, I mean, I'll talk about that in my video that's going to post in the morning, right? The day of the game. So where I tell you why I think it's going to go the way it's going to go. But I mean, the thing is as much as, and you guys know this as Alabama fans, everyone who is not
Birmingham Stallions fans,
everyone who is not in the Southeast or a fan of a Southeastern team, if they have a shot to take on one of the big boys out of the conference, that is a huge deal to them.
Yeah.
And Notre Dame players, they didn't come out and say it directly, but when you listen to their sound bites from the last couple of days, they're like, what do you think about playing Georgia? They're like, well, it's a good, they're a good team and they're out of the SEC. But everything they said what they didn't say, which is that it is a big deal for us to have an opportunity to play an SEC squad, the standard for, out of the last couple of years in college football. And if they manage to get this win, that will be a huge deal. So that brings me right back to the intangible part, right? That brings in the pucker factor. You get on the stage with these dudes and it's time to actually make plays. Then can you do it? Are you going to nut up and play tight? And, you know, as does Freeman as a young coach, try to do too much to overcome that. Because the bottom line is what we said earlier here, which is that Georgia, top to bottom, has the better roster. They're bigger. They're more physical.
Mm-hmm.
And all I hear from Notre Dame is how physical they are. And they are. The thing is, they haven't seen a monster like what they're going to see tomorrow. And that's not me talking trash here. That's a fact. Those dudes, when they line up across from one another, you're going to notice these two things are not the same. Now, there's not the disparity like there was between Georgia and TCU, right? Notre Dame is a physical football team, and they've recruited better over the last few years. Still, top to bottom, there's a difference. So the thing that I keep coming back to is if Notre Dame prides themselves on being a physical football team, winning the lines of scrimmage, bullying people, and then throwing when they want to, right? Because there's no doubt they can flat run the rock. They've shown that all year. What you're telling me is Notre Dame's going to come to NOLA, and that's going to be the plan. They're going to try to out-physical the team that has embodied physicality in college football over the last 3 to 4 years. Can you do it better than the team that is the standard for doing it? Frankly, I don't think they can. So we'll see. Now, the thing is, Gunner clearly making his first start, this is a big deal. If he goes out there and plays poorly, turns the ball over, none of this matters because Notre Dame's going to win.
Yeah.
And Kirby and there's a comment for you there on that Gunner ain't do the way Kirby runs his practice. So he was backing you up on that one.
Exactly. The thing about Gunner Stockton that the national media specifically seems to have forgotten is they didn't go get this dude off of Millage Avenue. He wasn't hanging out on the corner of Lumpkin, okay? He was as highly recruited as a quarterback as any quarterback in recent memory. He's been in this system. He's been in this system for 3 years. He knows the Georgia offense. That's why when you see him step onto the field in the second half against Texas, they didn't put the reins on him. He ran the Georgia offense, and he's going to run it tomorrow. And everybody that thinks that they're not going to throw the football, I beg to differ. The ball's going to be in the air because he knows what to do. Now, they're going to change a few things because he does a few things a little differently. But don't think they're going to sit on the football and try to run it. That's just not going to happen.
Yep.
If that does happen,
Texas thought they could run on Georgia as well.
Exactly. If that does happen, then fine. Notre Dame's going to win the game. If they squat on the ball and play conservative, Notre Dame's going to win the game. Yeah. But if they let them go play, which is what I think is going to happen, then I feel pretty good about it. I really do.
And I don't,
Mike, this is a specific one for you two in regards to what y'all are talking about in defense. So,
well, first of all, it's Notre Dame, not Notre Dame.
Thanks.
Second, if you don't know who Xavier
Hey, we're too many drinks in to be correcting everybody's spelling this.
Well, it is. If you don't know who Xavier Watts is, I can't help you. That's something that bugs me. Is a lot of
you got the one dude.
Well, Xavier Watts, Drake Bowen. We lost Riley Mills. That was huge. That was devastating.
Yep.
That was not great. But if you want to throw the ball against our secondary, be my guest. You might, if you throw it a lot, you're going to get yards. Cool. That's a product of numbers. Emmitt Smith is the NFL's leading rusher because he carried the most carries in the NFL. Like, that's how that works. You do it a long enough time, you're going to get numbers. It's a fact.
Emmitt Smith over here catching strays. Don't.
Emmitt's like, what? but yet the Notre Dame fans want to tell me that because UMass is outmanned and all they want to do is throw the football, that I should be ashamed of the day they had.
UMass had 167 yards rushing at the half. And if you think Riley Leonard and Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love are going to just all of a sudden disappear, that's just not what's going to happen. And
no,
with
they're not going to disappear.
He's been in the program 3 years, and he's just now getting his first start.
Yeah, because you had the number one rated quarterback in college football leading your team. That's why.
Look, I can't even. Rodg and I can't back that argument either, Mike. I hate to tell you, but because Mac Jones sat around for 3 years and then won a national championship, so it's not always a product of who you are. Sometimes, like, You can't penalize, especially in the transfer era and the portal era and the NIL era, somebody for actually sticking with their team. So I do get that point. And I know the point you're trying to make, but yeah.
Someone commented on Jake Fromm winning at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Notre Dame was 4-8 the previous season. I don't know who thought Jake Fromm couldn't beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame.
What does the previous season have to do with the game that they played?
If you're taking a 4-8 team into the following season, I don't have high hopes. Game 1 against Georgia, and granted, that has nothing to do with tomorrow because that was 7 years ago. But I'm just saying, I saw a comment that nobody expected Jake Fromm to beat Notre Dame. I was like, who didn't expect that to happen? Yeah. It was a bad Notre Dame team coming into the year, and Georgia's Georgia. So
not then. That was 2017. Georgia had gone whatever it was, 7-5 or 8-4 the year before, with a second-year head coach.
They were still better than Notre Dame, and then you took over our stadium, and it was a done deal.
I don't even remember this game, to be honest.
Yeah, neither do I. I barely remember our season.
I'm an outsider here, so I don't recall the score of this. I don't know.
I'm already working on forgetting today. So,
yeah.
Let's get some predictions and breakdown. Okay. So, Randy, give me two points, or maybe a player. Give me 2 points for the game and a score prediction. You think for tomorrow?
2 points. You mean things to look for? That sort of thing.
Things to look for. Yep. Yeah.
I do think that what you're going to see is Georgia's going to throw the football. They're not going to run the spread. He's not going to throw it 50 times. That's not going to happen. But they're going to throw it when they want to, inside the scheme that they run, right? So obviously they're going to try to run the football. You're going to see Gunner try to be a part of that, and then they're going to throw the football when they want to. That's the game plan. So I don't think they're going to sit on the football. I think they're going to let him run the Georgia offense. And I do think if there is any point here, it's going to be that they're going to take more shots maybe than we think they will. Because when you have a young quarterback like that, the most dangerous place to throw the football is over the middle. So if you're going to throw it down the sideline, tell him throw it out of bounds. If it's not there, right, try to help the kid. So I do think you're going to see him stretch it out a little bit. Doesn't mean 10 balls, but, a couple of halves, something like that. You see him take a shot down the field. So I think that's going to happen. And as far as just the other part, the physicality part, and how I think they're going to attack one another, I have a question about Riley Leonard in that if he is a guy who can make plays with his feet, which we all know he can, and you're Notre Dame and you're trying to win this game, which is clearly a big game, are you going to be more tempted to run him more because everything is on the line and you think that's the best way for you to do that? Or do you think that your running backs are better running backs than your quarterback is, and you're going to let them run the ball? Because I couldn't tell you who Notre Dame's backup quarterback is. So are they going to sit back and say, well, we don't need to get him hurt because, the backup, look at Georgia? Or do they run him 35 times if they need to? I'm inclined to think that they think their running backs are a better running back than he is. So they're going to try to run the football, and you're going to see him. But I don't think you're going to see him run it 30 times either. I think he might run it on called runs. I'm going under 10, right? Now, he's going to make plays on broken plays. Yeah. I expect that fully. I just don't think you're going to see them run quarterback lead, right, 10 times. So
interesting, because I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one of my points was going to be, don't be surprised if you see a more than normal amount of Riley Leonard design runs. Mainly because
that just seemed, I guess I could see it if you think he's better than Jeremiah Love, right? Or however you want to think about it.
But it's not that he's better than Jeremiah Love or even Jarian Price. It's just that so I've said it multiple times throughout the season. In a game of this magnitude, now don't do it against the teams that we've played previously, but a game like this, if they each get 10 carries, I feel like that's a recipe for success. 10 design, obviously Leonard design runs. He might have more because of scrambles, but if you got 30 carries across those three guys, that is a formula for success, assuming we're getting 4 to 5 yards a carry. Because I'm not expecting
with you.
He may not, but I really do think that throughout our entire season, the one constant that has never failed us has been Riley Leonard's ability to run and stay on his feet to get yards. Jeremiah Love's ability to run, stay on his feet, get yards, and Jarian Price. So you want to lean on that. Do you want Riley Leonard to get hurt? Of course not. But I don't see a scenario where you're going to shy away from it when you play to win the game. Herm Edwards, you play to win the game. You're not going to be like, well, let's not risk this, that, or the other. Well, if you don't take that chance, there's no tomorrow. So I do foresee a 12 to 15 carry day for Riley Leonard for sure, where he's going to be efficient because he's gotten better with the passing. And this is what I say: if Leonard goes over 25 passes, I don't like Notre Dame's chances. I don't like Notre Dame's chances. If he's in between 20 to 25, probably in a good spot. If he's around 17 to 20 pass attempts, I think Notre Dame wins that game.
Well, I mean, at the low red zone, I could see him running it more because you get an extra hat, right? I don't know about between the 30s. I mean, we'll see. It's going to play out tomorrow. I mean, that Notre Dame offense, right? That rush offense, they had the big play, the 98-yard play. But outside of that, they ran for 2.8 yards a carry against an Indiana team, which was statistically good against the run. I'm just saying, it's a different animal. Georgia didn't run the ball this year until they had to run the ball. And when they had to run the ball, they ran it effectively against the best defense in the country, the Texas Longhorns, according to what everybody else seems to say. So when they need to run the ball, they can. I just, and as far as whether or not they can or can't run the ball, if they can't run the football, I just don't think that there's a single receiver for Notre Dame that Georgia's going to be overly concerned about as far as beating them.
Not at all.
You know, so they're gonna roll down, squeeze that box, and the thing about Love is he's a great player, so he might get loose and hurt them a little bit. But Dylan Sampson is a great running back too. He got over 100 yards against Georgia. What happened in that game? They lost by 3 scores. Sure. So they just can't. If you're Notre Dame, you can't let yourself be made one-dimensional. And they're just going to have to show me that they can run it the way you believe they can run it, because I don't believe they can do it.
Hey guys, we are going to have to kind of start to wind down because both of our wives are texting us to get to where we need to get.
Using the Texas game real quick, I don't think it's a fair assessment because their rushing offense is nowhere near what Notre Dame's was throughout the year, not just one game. But to your point on the receiving, the only thing Notre Dame has going for them positively in the receiving department is because there's no wide receiver 1 or tight end 1. You kind of have to cover them all equally. You know what I mean? Like you can't target one individual, but you're right. Nobody's gonna beat you on their own.
Is there a true freshman starting at tackle for Notre Dame tomorrow?
There is. Anthony Knapp. Let's go.
He's from Georgia, isn't he? He's from right down the road here, isn't he?
I think he is. Hey, the last
even if he's from Georgia, don't admit it. Just say he's from somewhere else.
No. He you know what? I was being coy. He absolutely is, because he's got a chip on his shoulder because Georgia didn't recruit him.
Right.
And he went to Notre Dame. But the last true freshman left tackle to start for Notre Dame was a guy by the name of Joe Alt. I don't know if that means anything to you, but
no, it doesn't, because Joe Alt was a great player. This cat's a young player, and he's going to meet Mr. Walker tomorrow.
Nominated from day 1 to going to number 6 draft in the NFL.
The thing that worries me if I'm Notre Dame is their players said, we've played good players all season. We've played good linebackers all season. I looked at that schedule. I'm telling you, friend, it's not the same.
No, we have.
Let me throw out some scores real quick, and then we'll get your guys' so we can get out here. So the Alabama fan goes with Georgia 38-20. And Nigan made a comment earlier about Georgia being the most physically taxing team that they had played.
I don't see the score getting that high either direction.
Yep. Well, your Michigan fan also gets it to that high too as well. And of course, your Georgia fan. And then you do have somebody that has your back, an Alabama/Ohio State fan.
Okay,
does have your back.
To me, that's a more not because Notre Dame. to me, that's a more realistic score either direction. I think that's more realistic.
Yep.
Notre Dame can absolutely win this football game. They're just going to have to show me. That's all there is to it.
And so when you're talking about scores, because I know you guys want to wrap up, I don't know if Randy's giving a score, but I don't see either team, regardless of how much I want Notre Dame to win or how much Georgia can win, I don't see anybody getting to 30. That's a high score to me. With both, Notre Dame is not this explosive offense, and I think Notre Dame's defense is good enough to keep the game close. I'm saying Notre Dame wins 24-20.
Okay.
That's
Randy, what you got?
No,
go ahead, Raj. I'm sorry. Randy, go ahead and give yours. Yeah, and then Raj will end it up.
Do anybody know the line on this game?
It's Georgia by 2, right?
1.5. Yeah. Or Notre Dame plus 1.5. So Georgia minus 1.5.
Yeah.
1.5. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think Georgia wins. I think Georgia covers. And depending on how all the little intricacies play out, I think Georgia could win by 10. So if, let's just say they don't run up and down the field, then give me something in the neighborhood of 24-14, something like that. Maybe 27-17. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how I see it.
I can't see 30s, 40s. Neither team with what we have offensively, defensively, etc., tells me this is going to be a 40-30 type of game.
Right. And the line is 40. The over-under is 45. So neither do the odds makers. They agree with you. Rod, you want to put the final thoughts on it?
Yeah. I was thinking I picked Georgia 27-20. For me, and I know that's a little over 45, but 27-20. For me, it comes down to Gunnar Stockton. I haven't seen him play a full game. Neither obviously none of us has Carson Beck's been the starter. I just need to see him play an actual full game from start to finish to see how he plays as a quarterback. Obviously, he came in for the SEC championship, helped them win that. Played pretty decent. Obviously, he had the bad interception, which I still feel like Texas probably could have ran that for a pick 6, but obviously that panned out the way it didn't. But once I see him play from start to finish, I'll get a better mentality, a better perspective of him and Georgia's offense going forward. I still think this is going to be a really, really close game from both teams have really, really good defenses. And on the other hand, as far as Notre Dame's offense, I'm still not too high on them. If Notre Dame was to play Alabama today, y'all probably win because we just played like absolute garbage today. That's a whole nother story for another day.
Birmingham Stallions, Raj.
Yeah,
embrace it.
But for the point at hand, I'm going to pick Georgia 27, Notre Dame 20, and that's it.
Sounds good. I like it.
Yep. Herb,
all right.
Herb, you can't just.
I'm hosting. I don't have to do these things.
Oh my
I'm hosting. Randy, we know that you got a lot going on. Why don't you tell everybody what's coming up for you this week and where we can see you?
Man, I don't know what's coming up for me this week, but I can tell you, that on Wednesdays we try to do a live stream the podcast. We try to get that done. And in case you don't know how that goes, in case you're not familiar with the phrasing, it's the How About That Dogs Cast. So there you go. You can look it up, search it up that way. Check us out. But that's the one consistent, and then videos on the channel. Everything starts at YouTube. Find us there at A Damn Beast, and we'll go from there.
I feel like Randy has a team of people that we can't see that control all of the soundboards and everything. There's like 6 or 7 people that we just can't see on screen that are controlling the soundboards and the buttons and everything. It's lovely. I like it.
I'll never tell.
And his favorite is a guy named Adam. That's who we like.
Yes, that's all 3 of them. Yeah.
Mike, what you got going on, man?
Well, hey, Happy New Year's. Cheers to everyone listening, tuning in. We appreciate that. I appreciate you guys bringing me on. Randy.
Of course.
This was fun. I'm very simplistic. I don't know how else to describe it. I'm on Twitter and I've got my little podcast, 5 foot nothing, 100 nothing, because I am 5 foot nothing, 100 nothing. But you can find me on Twitter at 5 foot nothing pod. It's pretty Notre Dame heavy. But I have fun doing this. I appreciate you guys bringing me on.
Of course. We appreciate you being here.
I hope to ring in the new year with a nice Notre Dame win. And at minimum, I might have made a new friend in Randy/Adam. That still cracked me up because I told her, I'm like, who's this Adam guy? He's like, Adam. I was like, yeah, Adam and
I was so confused. I was like, Adam, what?
Yeah. Hey, whatever happens, I made a new friend. And Randy, I did play golf with a Georgia guy today, so I did show my respects on the golf course. I even keep me.
And this was a good comment I meant to post out here. Going to the Nevada, yeah, and I would agree.
I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah, I think the winner of this one.
I agree with that. I think it's going to be them and the winner of Ohio State, Oregon. That's who I got.
Which is tough one there. So
that's going to be awesome too.
Still enjoy the game tomorrow for the last couple people.
Yeah, enjoy it.
Go get them, Steele.
Yep. Steele said they will be at the game tomorrow.
That's awesome.
The guy played golf with. He's leaving first thing in the morning.
And yeah, Nick, I just didn't want to be sad anymore, so that's where the hat came from today. So I'm moving on to the Stallions, man.
As Alabama fans, we're focusing on the Stallions and our basketball team this year. Football, we can't do it anymore.
Y'all didn't. I didn't really get to see the game today, but I knew that I was just going to let you. I was going to let you boys be. That's how you know I love you. I was just going to let you be.
You can't be any worse than the Michigan fan that just typed laughing at me the whole time.
And on a serious note, again, Randy, I appreciate the gift that you sent us. Herb partake, we did, and we indulged. And it was very nice. Immediately, yes. Once we got it, we opened it up. So yeah, it was
good, fellas. I appreciate that. I was going to try to send it out to her, but Alabama wouldn't let me. So, and then he reminded me I could
strict rules down there.
He reminded me Texas worked. I'm like, Texas. You can do anything in Texas.
Open.
Yeah.
So we'll take whatever we can get at this point.
There you go. I'm glad the timing worked out.
Yeah.
Jeremy, we kind of hope not, but that's a story for another day. Yeah, we'll have another reaction video about that.
Jalen is right now the third pick in the NFL draft as far as quarterback, so it's probably safe for him to go ahead and go to the NFL, and we'll move on. Okay, Jalen, we love you though.
Yeah. Thank you to our guests. Thank you to the comments. If I missed any, that was on me. I apologize. Yes. We really enjoyed it. Thank you, Randy. To the crew, Adam in the back, we appreciate you. Mike and his Irish car bombs, we appreciate you both, man. This was fun. Good luck to both of you guys tomorrow. Raj and I will actually be on a live stream with the Cinco squad, watching your game and reacting to it. So that should be a lot of fun. So definitely looking forward to that. So we'll talk to y'all later. Everybody have a good night, and as always, go Stallions.
Go Happy New Year. Happy